but instead it's a close-up on his face, and then you sort of see the shark in the background come. And I feel like that is exactly opposite of what literally any other director would do, because it takes away the visual almost, but he creates a different type of suspense pulling in that close to him. And so I don't know, I'm not sure. I've heard people talk about how him being Finnish affects sort of the way that he sees things for American audiences. And I think we see that in people thinking like he would think this would be really funny, but instead he actually, like, that's just what he likes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a great question. For me, it's creating those sequences and moments, but I also think it's editing. Like, this movie is edited well in that, like, there's rarely any downtime in the movie, and when there is, it's just like Saffron Burrows' birthday party and we're just trying to make her likable. Like, there's rarely not, like, when you guys were asking me, you know, what chapter I wanted to do, between the two that I had, I'm like, well, these are both great, you know? And it's just like, I was going through chapter by chapter. I'm like, all of these are great. Like, there's very rarely not a moment in this movie that is really great. And I feel like that's how he storyboards the entire thing. So it's not necessarily like pulling in a technique of like, let's do that dolly zoom. Okay, wait, no, let's put the camera on the water so that we can feel like the shark. He's just thinking of it as like a whole entire screenshot from the audience point of view. Like, maybe that's where his director's style comes from, is he's thinking of it as the audience, like similar to how, you know, Samuel L. Jackson acts in movies that he loved as a kid, as opposed to potentially like the prestige of doing something. You know, Renny Harlin is just directing as an audience member or something. I'm not sure.
That's why I liked your article, because it got me thinking about different aspects of the movie. And I dug that. Like, it got me thinking about his shots and how he focuses on the action and what his... It's good. I'm telling y'all, you got to read it. So I'll include the link too. And this is actually a pretty perfect episode that you picked, because, you know, in this episode a lot, like, I know Screen Junkies did an honest trailer where they're talking about how it's like a Christian film and how there's a lot of themes of God. And you kind of wrote like, who is Jesus? But the funny thing is, at the end, you have the two guys who are not associated with the science living. But in the original cut that they were going to release before audiences hated, you had the doctor living. So... What did you write? It kind of knocked it flat on its butt, that theory that, let's see.
Yeah, it totally debunks it, right? Like, yeah. And no shade to the Christian movie sites. I've read a lot of them. You know, people, you know, have your beliefs or whatever. But, you know, it does. I've been thinking about this a lot, where it's like, where does the Christianity in this movie come from? You know, and we've learned a lot about how, you know, Samuel L. Jackson was originally supposed to be the preacher character, and LL Cool J was going to be another cook who was killed off early. But, you know, Samuel L. Jackson was like, you know, I'm going to be the richest man in the world. It's going to be great.
I want to play golf.
And yeah, let me do this. And that's fine. And then they made LL, and I think they sort of rewrote, like, to me, I haven't been able to find anything on, okay, was the original Samuel preacher character exactly what LL played, or how much did they change it for him? And so it's like kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Like, is the religion with preacher there because, like, that's very close to who LL is, I believe. So did he bring that in there? Especially because at the time he was doing that movie, In Too Deep, where he played God. And he got lost in the role. So it's like, is that what it is? And again, like, because they originally did not want to kill off Saffron Burrow, it does obliterate the theory that the sharks were hunting down the scientists for, you know, with the sharks, which is very Frankenstein-esque. But, you know, that wasn't his original intention. So it always makes me curious about how much Harlan actually knew religion was in this movie, because again, it's also a very like 1990s, early 2000 thing to be very like, you know, remember that movie The Island, and how it was like about stem cell research, and like it was just that seems very Y2K period for me. So I'm not sure, but I do think this scene, I love it. It was difficult to choose which scene to do, but this one, because it does really show like, this movie is about religion. Like,
yeah,
just
it's
in
not
case you
subtle.
didn't know. Yeah, like he's gonna take his cross and he's gonna jab this guy in the eye with it.
And his name is Preacher.
Yeah, so
8 times too I saw him stabbing that shark, and the wherewithal for the character.
Oh my god.
I've seen a snake before and ran away. So it's if I'm in the mouth of a shark and I have the wherewithal to think to stab it with my necklace, then
Yeah.
that's like. But you know what though? In the past, Preacher has talked about how he's seen some things. So he was a bad dad. He was a bad husband. He had an alcohol problem. He he turned his life around. He had to go somewhere else, probably burn some bridges. So maybe his kind of past brought him that. Well, that's a lot. That's fate. No, I don't think it's fate to stop a genetically engineered shark from escaping a facility, because that'd be pretty random. But
I mean, it might be. Like, I do always joke that the question I always ask people is, who is Jesus in this movie? And more I do think it's LL. But to me, the scene also is like the hero's journey for LL. We only call him LL now, guys.
Yeah, ladies off.
I don't call anyone by their character's name. I just call them their regular names. But, he is both him and Thomas Jane, the Punisher, to this point, are sort of the reluctant heroes, right? Thomas Jane more so because he actually knows what he's doing. And, previous to this scene is, the great hip hop prayer, where we really see LL step up, and he leads everyone in this prayer. And then, Mark, I believe in what you called the 16th best door opening scene. They go through the chute. He goes through that ordeal of, he doesn't want to hold his breath and go through it, but he does. And then, he's attacked by this shark, and he gets out of it. And then he gets to the land, and then, spoiler alert, he summons the courage to, maybe not nail the shot, but I think nail the shot. He nails that shot, and he sort of becomes the hero of our movie. And unfortunately overshot as Thomas Jane, I think, for a lot of people.
He kills two of the sharks.
He does, right?
Carter just sort of rides him and slips around a lot and opens doors.
Which is cool still.
And we still think he killed Scoggins.
Yes, yeah, he led Scoggins to his death. That's fact.
I'm dying to know what the commentary was, so I tried really hard to find the DVD commentary on the internet, and I couldn't find it. So what was the commentary during this scene?
Well, he starts off by joking that Saffron Burrows loved filming underwater. She wanted to film way more underwater, but in a sarcastic tone, meaning that she
classic Rennie.
Yes, classic Rennie. Yeah, hates his actors. Apart from LL Cool J, he hates the rest of them, it seems. And then basically he talks about the Preacher being attacked is an homage to Jaws, with the Chrissy Watkins attack at the start of Jaws, where she gets grabbed on the surface and dragged around. And then it's about the mechanical shark, and how LL Cool J was tied into the mouth of this locked mechanical shark, and it would go under the water for longer than it was intended at times. And there wasn't much they could do about it if that happened. So some of LL Cool J's panic is not acting. He's tied to a shark. Well, he says that. He's like, there's not much you can do. Pause. I mean, there were safety switches. But he just kind of glosses over that. It's like he doesn't want anyone to work with him ever again in the commentary.
He's lucky that LL was a young actor trying to figure out his way, so he put up with a lot more on set than any of the other actors.
Well, my husband has a theory. I'm not going to be able to get this out and laugh. His theory, when I was asking him, what he thought about this theme and, LL getting caught and stuff, and he looks at me and it's just like, I think LL was just too jacked to die.
He just wouldn't let it happen.
I mean, he was probably flexing the quads when he was getting bit, which prevented the teeth from going too far in and severing major arteries.
Yep.
And so that saved him. His kitchen workout with the parrot saved his life.
Just engaging that core.
We saw him with those cake things. Those are huge. He can do cake curls.
Well, and, I'm going to say it, he fills out a chef suit nicely. It's a look not a lot of people can pull off. I also didn't realize until watching it this time that he does the entire movie in the chef's outfit, when you would think they would have had some wetsuit that he could have changed into when they were in the barracks, but no.
Oh yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
Him go through this.
The chef's outfit actually makes sense as to why he's the one who is attacked. Because we talked about it on last week, I think, how sharks, they said they use the fire extinguishers and the life jackets because sharks are attracted to bright colours. They're attracted to contrast. So LL Cool J's got this big white jacket on and everything else is dark around them. Whereas Carter and Susan, they're both wearing completely black. So it makes sense that the Preacher is the one the shark goes for, because he's the one wearing the light colour. And also, sharks are attracted to shiny metallic objects, Who's wearing the metal cross necklace?
That's right. Yeah, I looked up what you shouldn't, like, how to survive a shark attack. And it's all the stuff we already know, which is like, if you're bleeding, don't go in the water. Yeah. You're wearing shiny stuff. And it was like, swim or dive with other people, which they did do, but, it still happened. And then it's like, if you do get attacked, here are the things you should do. And one of the things was, take anything you can and just, jam it in the eyes and the gills, bang it on the nose. And so he did that. He did everything right. And he was rewarded. So.
Have y'all ever watched Ernest Goes to Camp?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Remember when Ernest goes, never do this to a family of badgers, and then the badgers attack him? You should never do that to sharks, too.
Wait, are you saying he screamed in the faces of the sharks, or?
Yeah, never do that. Like
they cut that scene.
That should be in every single How to Survive a Shark Attack. Just don't scream at a family of sharks.
Yeah. While
telling people not to do it.
Don't quip at them as you throw your lighter into the kitchen.
Exactly. I'm so glad you've watched Ernest Goes to Camp. That makes me happy.
I went through a phase. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, or I guess not kid. I was born before that, but my formative years were the 90s and 2000s. So I've watched a lot of trash, and I think I stopped watching the Ernest movies after the Halloween one, which is legitimately terrifying. So
yeah, thank you. I've been writing.
Oh, you've made Mark's day.
I wrote about that for Cracked. I'm gonna pitch it to Rotten Tomatoes. I've put it like all over the place.
Yeah,
like we figured out what Miak is. That troll in Ernest Scared Stupid for a PG movie, hiding on a girl's bed when she gets back onto it, or attacking kids in public. Like, you're not safe. And it uses voice modulation, and it has no pattern, and it takes whatever it wants. It's horrifying for a PG movie.
Oh, it's burned into my brain when they go into that, like, tree or whatever it is, and there's kids just hanging in the ceiling. They used to show that on the Family Channel. I don't know. I live in Canada, so I don't know what that was called in the States or in Britain. We're a very international episode, I just realized. With 3 countries represented. But yeah, they used to show that all the time on the Family Channel, and it was straight up terrifying. So I co-sign your article.
Oh, it makes me so happy. And, you make it R-rated. I was watching R-rated movies back then, but I was ready to be scared. You don't go to an Ernest movie expecting to, like, develop a 2-pack a day smoking habit when you're 9. Like, that's
like Ernest is for kids. What are they doing? It's evil. It was terrible. But
and the director had wars with Disney about it. They were really mad. And then he kept fighting for more snot. And there was a big snot debate on the set of Ernest because he wanted too much snot. And Disney didn't want too much snot, but he fought for the snot on that film. And at the end of the section of his book, he's like, yeah, I messed up. He's like, I made it too scary. That wasn't good. And then Disney cut their deal. No, I just got to bring up 2 things I keep forgetting to do. In Ernest Goes to Camp, there's a great egg bit. Eggs erroneous, right? So I didn't bring that up during our omelet episode. I forgot to bring up Ernest Goes to Camp and the eggs erroneous bit. And also, I'm going to say something that's going to blow y'all's minds. On IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Wikipedia, and various sites, Dr. Susan McAllister is spelled different.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I
you
say
just tweeted about this, I think, or somebody did.
Yes.
I was just reading this on Twitter.
Yeah, I put that up there. I was like, you spend too much time with Deep Blue Sea when you notice all the names being spelled wrong. But Wikipedia and Rotten Tomatoes have it spelled wrong. Mm-hmm. And then IMDb has it spelled wrong in one section, right in another section. Mm-hmm. I had to go to the the credits to get the proper spelling because I thought I was going crazy. I was like, have I been spelling it wrong all this time? But people can't even get it right to spell McAllister's last name wrong. She's not Kevin McAllister. She's not like related to the Home Alone people.
Or maybe she is. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa. Kevin comes and visits.
Oh my God.
And that's Home Alone 3.
No, Home Alone 3 is terrible.
There's a Home Alone 3.
There's 5.
Okay. Let's say there's an imaginary world that happens sometime, and then it's him having sharks step on micro machines and Legos.
Yeah.
And having bricks dropped on him.
Or it's like him, it's a much lighter version of it. He's in Aquatica and he's trying to outsmart the sharks, and instead of them, picking off his family members, he's like stringing them up and lighting them thing and running around, and it's just a good old time, He's
electrocuting them, and then we see the shark. Wait, no, the cartilage of the shark lighten up. It's just, paint cans on the sharks. Their schnozzes are getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have to go back to what I said last week, where kids in big action films make films worse. So I do not sanction